Дайте пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливаю лик, поцелуй на шее. Карты дамба, правый назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, стель нагоят. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя. Дайте пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливаю лик, поцелуй на шее. Карты дамба, правый назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, степь нагоят. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя.
In the skies near Japan, F-15s on the hunt for a suspected North Korean intercontinental ballistic missile, capturing what could be its last seconds in flight. This rare video, released by Japan's military, experts say the burning object resembles a ballistic missile boost rocket re-entering the atmosphere, flying for about an hour at hypersonic speeds.
If there's no interception or the interception fails, an ICBM launch from North Korea would take a little bit more than 30 minutes to reach the homeland US, and also depending on if it's the West Coast or the East Coast will take slightly more time.
Chinese scientists simulated a North Korean nuclear attack. According to the South China Morning Post, the simulation shows 33 minutes from the time of launch to the time of impact if U.S. missile defenses fail to shoot down the ICBM.
Missile defense begins here.
For years, U.S. leaders have reassured the public.
The nation should be very confident.
And America's allies.
Easily shoot them out of the sky.
Missile defense systems can keep them safe. But virtually all ballistic missiles travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, sometimes faster.
It's been described as hitting a bullet with a bullet, trying to hit a warhead.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
A report last year finding America's missile defense system, the nation's best, perhaps only line of defense, only succeeds about half the time.
If North Korea were to fire nuclear-armed ICBMs at the United States, we cannot be assured that our missile defense system would prevent the deaths of millions.
A U.S. Missile Defense Agency report last year said the missile defense system has demonstrated a measured capability to defend the United States, deployed forces, and allies from a rogue nation's missile attack. But that rogue nation has a fast-growing arsenal. Kim Jong-un's military is mass-producing ICBMs. He knows a barrage of ballistic missiles could be too much for the U.S. to shoot down.
Well, I mean, it's pretty sobering reporting, especially considering so many of these missile defense tests, the missile defense shield tests, have not gone well for the United States. And you're talking about North Korea specifically with these missiles. What about missiles that would start from China or Russia?
Well, this is the scary thing that a lot of people probably don't know. Yes, the U.S. missile defense system might be able to defend against an attack from a rogue state like North Korea as long as their program doesn't get too big, or maybe Iran. But China, Russia, the size of their arsenals, if they launched nuclear missiles at the U.S., just like if the U.S. launched nuclear missiles at them, there'd be no way to shoot even close to all of them down. It would be essentially, this is the definition of mutually assured destruction. North Korea is trying to get there too. They're trying to get to the point that the U.S. wouldn't be able to shoot their missiles down, because then they become a nuclear power, which is what Kim Jong-un has always wanted.
North Korea moving to the top of our foreign area, a little hot list, if you will, right now launching more missiles in the Yellow Sea today. This is a growing nuclear threat. We've got one of our submarines docked right near a South Korean military installation itself. That's got the North Koreans talking about a tit for tat that happens as a U.S. soldier is in their confines. General Jack Keane with the latest on all of this. General, so much to get into on just North Korea alone. What do we know about these latest missiles launched?
Yeah, well, they're cruise missiles. They launched them off the West Coast between Korea and Japan. And you put your finger on it, Neil. I mean, the reason this provocation is going on and what happened on Wednesday with also short-range ballistic missiles, and then last week with an intercontinental ballistic missile which could reach the United States, it's all about the nuclear ballistic submarine that is parked at Busan in the southeastern part of South Korea. So we have not deployed a nuclear ballistic missile submarine in 40 years to South Korea. And why are we doing this? Well, because the North Koreans have a nuclear arsenal of estimated, Neil, from 40 to 60 weapons. And they also obviously have been developing ballistic missiles to fire those and deliver those weapons. And then they, with their language, they threaten the use of them. So what the United States is doing, and I think it makes prudent sense, is to demonstrate to the North Koreans and remind them that we are a nuclear power far superior to them.
All right, well, China and Russia conducting a joint naval operation, bringing 11 ships near the coast of Alaska last week. The U.S. mobilizing 4 destroyers and patrol planes in response to guide the ships away from U.S. waters. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writing, quote, "The naval patrol is best understood as a warning that U.S. territory isn't safe, as well as a test of how the U.S. will respond. The world is getting more dangerous, and a complacent U.S. political class isn't educating the public about the growing threats." Joining me now, Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War, Gordon Chang. Gordon, it's great to see you, and I think the editorial board at the Wall Street Journal summed it up pretty nicely there.
Well, certainly, because we have to assume that if there's going to be a war in Asia, and Henry Kissinger tells us it's probable, then we're going to be facing not just China, but also China's friends, specifically Russia and North Korea. And the Wall Street Journal is right. We have a political class that is complacent, has very little sense of urgency. You know, we're on the edge of war. And the Biden administration refuses to fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which it drained last year. So I don't know how this gets more dangerous. The Chinese can see it. And I think they're going to try and take advantage of the situation.
All right, well, Republicans are slamming President Biden over his response to China and Russia, bringing 11 ships near the coast of Alaska over the last 2 weeks during a joint naval operation. This happened last week. The U.S. mobilized 4 destroyers and surveillance planes to guide the ships away from American territory. This was one of the largest provocations that we've seen yet from China. The Wall Street editorial board writes this: "The naval patrol is best understood as a warning that U.S. territory is not safe, as well as a test of how the U.S. will respond. The world is getting more dangerous, and a complacent U.S. political class is not educating the public about the growing threat." Joining me right now is Fox News senior strategic analyst and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane, back with us. General, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Maria.
What is your assessment of that naval patrol exercise that Russia and China did right near Alaska a week ago?
Well, I think it really underscores the seriousness of this strategic relationship that's between China and Russia. It's an informal political, military, and economic alliance between 2 nuclear superpowers. And their common objective is to reduce the influence and power of the United States in the world. The United States still has the #1 military. We got 384 bases in the United States and around the world, and we can project combat power in a way that no other nation can. But here's the problem, Maria. When we get within 1,000 miles of the China coast, China has the decisive military advantage. And that is the issue here, because they're using an intimidation and coercion campaign to take over Taiwan. Russia has already, as part of this partnership, started a war in Europe, and President Xi is threatening a war in the Pacific. So this is a dangerous and certainly formidable relationship that we are facing. We haven't faced anything like this since Germany in Europe and North Africa during World War II, and Japan in the Pacific during World War II.
Military capability, as you call it, General, has been building up in plain sight before our very eyes. You've been calling it all along the way, raising the red flag that the Chinese Navy is bigger than the U.S. Navy, that we are outmanned, outgunned. You've said that so many times. So how is it possible that this is just continuing to happen happen without the U.S. responding. What should be the proper response here to communist China after a surveillance balloon travels the country for a week, police stations all across America, cyber attacks, just as Anthony Blinken is getting ready to go to Beijing? They're actually hacking into the Commerce Department and the State Department, understanding exactly what his plan is. All of this with no response from the Biden administration. No wonder we have this provocation right next to Alaska, next to the U.S. coast. So what should the U.S. be doing right now?
We've got to come clean with the American people about the seriousness of this threat and why there's danger on the horizon because of the erosion of our military capability by compared to them. We have said time and time again, if we're involved in a military conflict with China, we would be challenged to win, and we indeed could lose, and that would be catastrophic in terms of the United States and our relationship in the world writ large and the security of the American people. Those are harsh realities.
A look at this naval ship. It's right over my shoulder. It's a Russian warship here in the harbor in Havana. And what's it doing about 90 miles from the United States? Well, that may have to do with the war in Ukraine, because Cuba is one of the few countries that is increasingly defending Russia's invasion of Ukraine, saying it is NATO's fault, not Russia's. And Russia has responded by sending Cuba oil, food, even promising to build beachside hotels. Cuban officials have said that they would like to have good relations with the United States, but they like Russia, are under U.S. economic sanctions. And meanwhile, Russia is coming and offering them this economic assistance. So really for Cuba, it's an easy choice.
This is Dabu 7. We now have Chinese migrants coming to shore in Florida, here, mainland USA, coming up onto the shores, some escaping into the country to never be seen again, others getting apprehended, and it's got a lot of people saying, what is really going on? Now, we know this whole Title 42 thing's in motion with the southern border, and we've seen a lot of Hispanics coming in from Latin America, Mexico, Venezuela, countries like that. But China is nowhere close to our country. And for these individuals to be coming in, they've literally got to be crossing the big pond in a boat or being flown here, something. They're being brought here, and that costs money, it takes fuel, energy. And from that far of a distance, that's a huge haul. These people swimming up onto our shores, people on the beaches down near Miami freaking out. We had a Detroit resident named Marvin say that he witnessed this, saw 3 helicopters swoop in outside of his hotel. Then they were swarming these migrants, rounding them up, of which they said they caught 10. They said that there was a total of 15, that they came in on the boat that you see here to the left, and that I guess the other 5 got away because they've only arrested 10, although they admit 15 came in just on this one boat. Now, they have encountered 23,000 migrants just in 1 month alone in this area. We are getting invaded like never before. They're coming in from all angles, just washing right up on the beaches and then taking off into the country. So I urge folks out there, if you see something crazy happening on a shoreline, on the beaches, where people are just washing up and then disappearing into the country, you need to say something, you need to do something. We've got to act on this. We can't just sit back and watch people infiltrating our country left and right. But yet, that is exactly what's happening by the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's soon to be millions if nobody stops it. So we're not on board with these governors that are shipping them into the interior of the country. You should be shipping them out, and that's it. If they want to come here, they come here legally, just like you have to go to any other country. It has to be legally or you get kicked out. No exceptions. So we got an invasion going on if anyone cares. Join me on the live streams Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Dabu777, where I break this down further. Hit that subscribe button for more. We're in a war.
And right now at 4 o'clock, new video from the scene of a migrant landing on Sunny Isles Beach. Border Patrol agents calling after 4 Chinese migrants made it to shore. It is unclear if this is a migrant smuggling operation.
An investigation is now underway. Local 10's Alex Finney is live at the scene with the details. Alex. And Nicole and Calvin, authorities are looking into all of that. Mind you, when this happened earlier this morning, there were plenty of people on the beach. So, of course, we got plenty of video of these migrants coming ashore. As you mentioned there, all of this is still being investigated. This is brand new video just into our newsroom, showing some of the migrants jumping off of a boat near the pier. You're seeing what looks to be easily over a dozen people landing in the water. And here's more cell phone video. You see this woman with a backpack in tow coming out of the ocean. This is in Sunny Isles Beach.
While we were in the hotel, we saw like cops and we were hearing sirens and we were a little bit confused. And then when we came outside, we just saw a bunch of like Asian people that were being stopped. And nothing, apparently they said they came in a boat and there was about like 10, 15 of them, and they caught like 4 or 5 over there.
Over there being the beach entrance by the Newport Beach Hotel, where you can see the migrants sitting up against a wall and then ultimately being led away in handcuffs. We're told that some migrants ran off but were detained a short time later. And so in total, according to Sunny Isles Beach Police, there were 15 migrants. We know many of which are now in custody. We are still working to get that specific number for you. And as soon as I do get that, I'll be sure to pass it along to you. Again, all of this still under investigation. We will see you with another live report at 6 o'clock. For now, this is the very latest live in Sunny Isles Beach. Alex Finney.
You want to talk about why the Western societies will not fall? I'll give you a couple examples. The F-15, the F-16, the F-22, the F-35, M1 Abrams tank, the Blue Water Navy, the KC-135, the KC-10, the ICBM structure.
You're saying all the money we spend on defense.
And the global positioning system. You want to come for us, you more than welcome to. The United States dollar is backed by the military, and as much as you guys want to sit there and complain, I'll say this right now. There is one country on this planet that has stealth capability. There's one country on this planet that I think has functioning ICBMs. I don't think Russia has a single functioning ICBM, and there is one country on this planet that actually has a functioning blue water navy. There's only there's only a few countries on this planet that have air refueling capability, and the only reason why they have them is because we sold it to them. If you guys want to come for us, you can. The United States could take on every country in the entire world militarily at the same time, would be fine. Now, if you want to say cyber terrorism or there's a moral decay from the inside, cool, make that argument. The United States is not going to fall, not in our lifetime, not in the next 20 lifetimes.
Так дайте пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливаю лик, поцелуй на шее. Как дома, правда назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, стель многояд. Мог тебя взять, но ты не моя. Так дайте пацанам посчитать потери. Суммы нули погибают на сцене. Снова один, прогуляюсь без тени. Заливаю лик, поцелуй на шее. Как дома, правда назад, черный каскад. Вижу твой взгляд, степь многояд.